Our first 4-star game is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I figured this would be a really good way to physically show you the process, compare games from the same series, of what 4 and 5 is to me. If you've ever played Metal Gear Solid 5, if Metal Gear Solid 5 was the first Metal Gear game you ever played, you might be like, why didn't you give this one 5? It's an incredible game. It handles like a dream. I mean, they took like the fluid movement, and I can't remember who said this. Excuse me. I heard it somewhere in some interview. I gotta stop doing it. I gotta start looking these interviews up and actually preparing a little better. But I saw somewhere in an interview where it's like Sam Fisher or something like, yeah, he moves like a panther. And we wanted Snake to move like that too, and they really accomplished that. Like you feel like a predator. You feel like an absolute predator stalking prey. You feel like a deadly warrior. Really, like, this is a power fantasy game. It really is. The feeling of, you know, sneaking in and infiltrating from the outside, like, it's unbelievable the amount of free reign you have. But I couldn't bring myself to give this a 5 because, again, is this better than, you know, is it as good or better than the other Metal Gear games? And the way the incompleteness in terms of the story, I think, hurts this terribly. Because as a fan of Metal Gear Solid, the gameplay here is incredible. Incredible. It's probably one of the best feeling games I've ever played. The story, wildly disappointing. Like, wildly disappointing. And it's only as the years go by, because I remember the first time I played it, I really wanted to enjoy it more than I did. And then they making you go back and play those 5 other missions on super hard. Like, it just felt like fluff. I mean, I felt robbed. I felt robbed. And it's so, how could you feel robbed with everything this game has? If this game wasn't Metal Gear Solid 5, man, I might have loved it more. I might have loved it more than I did. And I really do love it. I can't remember a game I had more fun playing with and exploring the world. But after a time, the world kind of, it feels a little empty. It's fun, like, sneaking in and doing this. But, like, at a certain point, like, you feel like a god. You get enough of these weapons. Like, you feel like you just airdrop in whatever you want and just go on a killing spree. There didn't feel like as much of a challenge. And then the only challenge that did exist is when they make you replay a couple of these missions. I remember having to fight the 4 skulls again. It literally took me months to beat that. Months. But it didn't feel like a fair challenge. It felt like, oh, we're just going to beef up these enemies just so it feels like you're getting another challenge. Everything either felt incredibly, almost impossibly hard, or just super fucking easy, where you can just walk in like, what's the point of being stealthy, except for my own satisfaction? I don't even know if this mode's possible. I know you can turn off the reflex mode and all that, and, you know, but playing Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 with, you know, game over if you're spotted, you can't beat that kind of tension. It's great. I know it's a lot more difficult to do that in an open world game like Metal Gear Solid 5, but it really feels like there's not as much challenge. It really feels like this god mode sandbox where you're just walking around just slaughtering everything in your path. It's fun. It is. And the story isn't horrible, but just the way it's told is so disjointed. It makes no sense. So much filler, repetitive side missions in these bleak and drab environments. Like the Afghanistan environments, they look bleak and drab. Afghanistan, you can say what you want. I know it's lots of deserts and rocks. There's some pretty vibrant deserts and rocks. You know, it doesn't come across as a really fun world to be in. The African world, I think, is a little better. Still, just not great. I didn't have really fun traversing the world. Driving vehicles doesn't feel super fun. Again, you could just like go from checkpoint to checkpoint in a tank and just blow everybody up. It's cool. So in terms of like a Metal Gear game, this one's like very disappointing. But in terms of a video game, it's incredible. So like if you're not it's a must play anyways. It really is. But in terms of, being the last Metal Gear Solid game, which it seems like it is, it just offered nothing in the terms of tying it. It wasn't wrapping up the story. That's what Metal Gear Solid 4 did. But this was, Metal Gear Solid 3 is a circle. Excuse me, Metal Gear Solid. It's Metal Gear, the whole story of it. It's a circle. And 5 was like the last piece in the circle. Like, this was the last piece that connected. It starts at 3, and then it'd be Peace Walker. Well, no, it'd be 3, Portable Ops, Peace Walker, 5. And then Metal Gear at the beginning of the series, and then you follow Metal Gear all the way to 4. It goes in the circle, and this game here was going to complete the timeline. I feel like it completely missed. It doesn't feel like it ties up the timeline. The twist at the end, no. I really feel like they cobbled that one together. So I felt like I was very negative talking about Metal Gear Solid 5, but since I was just talking about a much better game in the series, and as someone who loves this series, please know that I'm very, very biased when I bring up the negative parts of this, because they overwhelm my thoughts on this game. A game that I still love to go back and play. I still love rushing some of those big giant fortresses with reflex mode turned off and nothing but a silenced pistol, to challenge myself a little bit. But it doesn't feel like there's any weight to it, if that makes any sense. So, Metal Gear Solid 5.